Today's video has a lot of footage of Nairobi in the background because I'd like to dedicate it to my former boss who told me, as I told him that I'd like to move back home, why would you ever move back to Africa? They don't have infrastructure there. Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. I'm just Drew and this is a space where we talk about revival, renewal and living your best life, whatever that may be for you. As I said in the introduction of the video, I am now back home in Nairobi. And why would I choose to move back to Nairobi? Well, as I said, it's home. It's home for me. It's where I was born. It's where I was raised. It's where I was educated primarily. I did get educated in other countries, but as an adult. And I realized that I'm comfortable here, more myself here. And I'd like to be back where I'm myself, my true self. It also came to my attention while I was away that there was a lot of changes that were happening within my friends, within my family, because life happens while you're away. Many people who leave their countries think that the lives of the people back home will stand back still. But people are growing older, people are passing away, and you miss all of that. That's something you starkly realize while you're living abroad. And at the point I was in my life, I thought, what next? The epiphany came to me one day while I was at work. I had a job that I enjoyed with workmates that I enjoyed working with. But that day I was at my workstation and something told me, where do you live? Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? And I stopped working immediately and I looked at my life and I could not believe what I was seeing. Because I would be in the same place, doing the same thing. There would be growth, there would be more pay, but essentially it would be the same tasks until I retire. At, I think it's 65, the retirement age there. I can't recall the exact retirement age. So I would be carrying out the same tasks. And I thought to myself, this can't be. That would mean that it's all my adult life would be going towards that. And call me naive, but I'd never thought of it that way before. So when I realized that, I said, I have to fix it. I have to fix it because it's fixable. And that's how I ended up in Nairobi. I don't have anything to say. If you'd like to learn about where I'd been before in Denmark, I'll put a link to that video and you can see it. But now that I've been back, I can say that it's so interesting how stark the differences are between the two countries. Because in Nairobi is very noisy. The trucks, the cars, the people yelling at all times. It starts like at 6 a.m. You'd hear someone yelling on the street, talking to somebody else, or maybe it's someone who's drunk, and you're just like, why are they yelling? But that's Nairobi. That's how it was from before I moved in, and that's how it is now. And there's also, when you compare it with Denmark, where people were extremely reserved and extremely quiet, it's almost like they're two different species of human being. They are two different species that you're dealing with. And yeah, I'm getting used to the noise. The first few nights, it was difficult to sleep unless you're up country, because of course up country is quiet, but I'm in the city. Always be a city girl, or largely, let me not say always, but largely be a city person. So the noise that you experience is quite something. And of course we have the traffic, the traffic has improved greatly, and I think it's only people who have come from living away for a long time who will actively say this, because many Kenyans have realized, I don't know whether they are really as happy with the traffic situation, but I'm not saying it's perfect, I'm just saying it has improved. There's so many roads leading, you can get out of town easily without having to pass through the center of town as it was before. We have expressways and all these things that are now open and functioning quite fine. I've used them quite a few times since I've been back, and it's good to see that progress. And of course, Denmark does not have as much traffic. It's maybe in the morning rush hour, but it moves, and it moves progressively. I was never part of that traffic because, of course, I was always on the metro. Loved the metro. It was a great thing. Another thing I would say is that is the food. I would say that the food is so different. I think the food goes with the personalities of the people, to be honest, because the food in Denmark would be very lightly seasoned. It would be very controlled. It wouldn't be an explosive experience. But the food in Kenya is exactly that. The vibrant colors on the plates pop out, and people the portions are just humongous, which is good. People are hungry, feed them. And the tastes, it's an explosion of tastes and flavors, which I enjoy. And I can imagine it would be quite something for a Dane to experience some of the Kenyan food, especially those that are heavily seasoned, let me say that. Then it's not chili I'm talking about, it's just a lot of different seasonings, because as I was an apprentice chef in a kitchen, and they were always trying to think about putting the different flavors together. I think Kenyan chefs are more just like, let's go with it, what I feel, and we'll see how it turns out at the end. And it's more often than not, it's really good. It's just a different way of doing things. There's no right or wrong regarding anything I'm going to say in this video. It's just different. And another thing is there's the weather. Right now it's winter in Europe, so the weather is not... Winter was never my favorite season, ever. And I did not like the wind, I did not like the cold, I did not like the snow. And right now, Nairobi is right at the equator. It's the polar opposite. It's very warm. The sun is out from morning. It's just blazing, and I really missed that. But yeah, the grayness of Scandinavia and Copenhagen was very tough for me to live with. I'll admit it now. I wouldn't have admitted it then, because if I really talked about it then, I would feel like, oh, I'm being negative, or I'm just trying to enjoy my experience in this place. But now I can safely say that that weather is not for me. It's not. And I sympathize if you have to go through that and you've come from weather like Kenyan weather, which is the exact opposite. But that's what planes are for. And what else can I say? Apart from the weather, the food, and of course the people. Otherwise, we're all just human beings trying to live our best human experience and trying to make the most of it. That's what I'm trying to do, make the most of my living experience here on earth. And that's what I realized when I visualized my life if I continued in the trajectory that I was on. It was good. I was going to be secure. I was in an industry that lacks a lot of skilled labor, and there's always a need for chefs, and I enjoyed learning. But it reached a point where I was sort of, is that all? Is that all in life? That's how I would feel. Like, this can't be all in life. And that's why I chose to leave. And some people were not happy with me, obviously, as I've said, my former boss and his comments. But, that's just how life is. You have to realize, you have to live life for you. Don't live life for others. Don't live life based on commitments that you made in the past when things were different, and now they have changed, and now you see a new way for yourself and would like to explore that way. I spoke about moving back with my family, and they were understanding and supportive, and this has been something that's been in the works for a long time. It's not like I woke up and said, moving tomorrow. No, I discussed it with family, and everything made sense when I spoke about it with the people that I loved and the people I've decided to walk through life with. And I do not regret the decision. I am happy and I'm glad for this. I'm glad for the Scandinavian experience as well, because not many people have been or will be to Scandinavia from, coming from an African country. I don't even know if they have the interest. But for me, I had it. I explored it. It was my second time in Scandinavia, so the experience wasn't as stark as the first time. And it was that being the second time, I knew that nothing magical or fantastic was going to happen while I was there because of how life is structured while you're there. In Africa, there's a lot of stuff happening. There's so much development. There's so much construction. There's so much opportunity. Yes, there's also a lot of challenges, but you roll with the punches. Nothing is smooth sailing in life. And once you accept that and accept the journey you're on, you'll be better for it. And that's all I have to say about it. For missing anything in Denmark, I do miss the structure of things. I'm a structured girl in terms of thought and in terms of how things should be applied. Kenya is very laissez-faire. They just do things how they wish. When I'm speaking about, let's say, government offices and things like that, you can see some of the instructions that come from government offices. I just saw today that they want to open social media offices to control speech. That is something you would never, ever hear about happening in Denmark. But that's what comes with moving to a country that's growing and developing into what it's supposed to be. And at the end of this video, just to juxtaposition the stark differences that I'm living with at the moment, I'm going to share what I miss most from Scandinavia, or let's say from Copenhagen, because this is definitely a Copenhagen experience. I miss this most. So watch till the end of the video to find out what it is. Thanks for watching, and bye.